Hi, my name is John Ciccarella, Service Manager at Rudolph Research Analytical. Today I'm going to show you how to perform a calibration on a refractometer. There are two ways of performing a calibration on a refractometer: a single point calibration and a 2-point calibration. Today I'm going to show you how to do both. For a single point calibration, you're going to be using distilled water and acetone, or any organic solvent to clean the prism. We're going to be first zeroing the instrument on a J157. The first thing you want to do is make sure that the prism is very clean. Put a little acetone on the prism and that it's covered. Now that the prism is clean and dry, you press the 0 key. First, we're going to be placing distilled water onto the prism as it says so on the refractometer screen. You want to make sure that the prism is completely covered by the sample. Now that you have water on the prism, you're going to close the presser and press Done. After you press the Done key, you're going to see the system stabilize temperature and the measurement bar is going to be going across the screen. Once it's completed and measured the water, it's going to adjust the refractometer to whatever refractive index at that temperature. Now that I showed you how to perform a single point calibration, next I'm going to show you how to perform a 2-point calibration using water, acetone, and a Cargill standard at 20 degrees that's usually supplied with the refractometer. To perform a 2-point calibration, you have to go into the setup menu. You press setup and the default factory password is 123 enter. The first option you see is user calibration. You hit calibrate and you select the desired temperature you're going to be performing the calibration. In this case, we're going to be using 20C because that is the value of the calibration standard that we're using. The first step of the calibration is for the instrument to perform an air calibration. The prism must be clean and covered with no sample applied. So we're going to use acetone to clean the prism. Acetone dries up instantly. And close the presser. Press continue. So what the system's doing now is it's calibrating the internal optics with no sample applied, which it uses for reference when you do place a sample on the prism. Once the air zero is complete, it's going to ask you to select between refractive index and bricks. In this case, we're going to be using the refractive index scale. So select refractive index. Now the refractometer is going to ask you to place sample 1 on the prism. Sample 1 is going to be distilled water. So open up the presser and place distilled water on the prism and close the presser. And now press Done. The instrument's going to be stabilizing temperature at 20 and now it's going to be measuring the sample. Now, after it measured the sample, it's going to ask you to enter in the refractive index of sample 1. It is known that the value of water at 20 degrees is 1.33299. So you type it in and press enter. Now that the system has performed the first measurement of the 2-point calibration, we're going to clean the water off the prism. We're going to use acetone as a cleaner and dryer agent. And we're going to apply the second standard onto the refractometer prism. Ensuring that the refractometer prism is completely covered by the sample. Now we're going to close the presser lid and press Done. The instrument again is going to stabilize temperature. It's going to measure the sample, and at the end it's going to ask you to input the value. The instrument will now ask you to enter in the RI value of sample 2. If you notice on the bottle, it's a value of 1.42002. We will now enter that into the instrument to complete the calibration. As you can see, the successful calibration and you have a very high confidence level that your calibration was performed properly. At that time, you're going to save results. Yes. Calibration is successful. Press continue. We have now successfully calibrated the refractometer using a single point calibration and a 2-point calibration.